Folks, there are numerous reasons you can keep your money in the bank and not do anything with it. And nobody would have cared. Nobody would have come to you and asked you to take the money out of the account by force. But sometimes, especially when you're from one country living in another country, you should start thinking about other alternatives. You should start thinking about worst case scenario. God forbid something happens in this country, they, for some reason, make a decision to expel all of the foreigners. What would be your plan B? What would be your backup plan? I always try to, how impossible and as impossible and some of these might seem, I always try to come across my people and talk to them face to face and kind of change your mind a little bit on certain actions that we take. I know it's very difficult decision to make, to leave everything behind and move back to Africa and start all over again, but that's not necessarily the case. You're not going back to Africa to start all over again. Actually, you're going back to Africa to reestablish yourself. There's a difference and there's nuances right there. Number one, at least I assumed you've made enough money, you have enough saving. It's only a matter of spending time to study and figure out what works best for you. Something that you believe if you go back and start a business or start something, you would not have financial stress or go through financial struggles per se. Because let's keep it real. In the West here, the kind of mindset they have is to use humanity. And this has worked for them for the past couple of centuries. Slavery and many other things. Look at the protests happening around the world. Look at the protests taking place in first world country, as they put it. Look at the protests taking place in France, UK, Italy, and all these other countries. Not to mention the poor quality of livelihood that is happening in the West as well. People are protesting not because of the war, not necessarily. These protests have started way longer, way before even Ukraine and Russia war broke out. Remember the yellow vest in France? Those protests were taking place because people started to realize that the quality of life continued to deteriorate. Ordinary people are not really finding themselves in a really good financial position, whether it is in the West or anywhere else in the world. But you have the luxury to have two homes. The first one is where you originally came from. You know where you came from to move to the West. And then you made the West your second home. Meaning, you go to school here, or you have a job here, or you conduct certain activities here in the West. But at the same time, you have another place to fall back on just in case something here doesn't go right. All right? For instance, let's just say you commit a felony, all right? Commit a felony as a foreigner. It doesn't matter if you have the citizenship. You know what's going to happen? They're going to throw you in jail. After you serve your time, they put you on an airplane and they fly you back to your country. And you're not allowed entry back into that country anymore. You know how I know that? Not only the law says that, but I know somebody personally who's been through that. It is a friend of mine who lived here in the United States, in Pennsylvania specifically. Actually, he didn't commit this particular crime. Some girl he used to date, right? And the girl used his older sister's driver's license to bump up her age, but she was underage at the time. The dude had his stuff with her. They had multiple sex. We're all adults here. There's nothing to hide. They had multiple sex in the past, but the guy was still under the impression that the girl, right, was over 18. But this way it gets better. The girl went out, spent time with some other dudes, and then the same night, later on that night, the dude, my friend, goes over to check on her, right? One of the dudes that had come over before her, along with her friends, they ran train on her. So she had already called the cops. Before the cop got there, those dudes had already left. When the cops got there, right, my friend was literally just walking out. So they detained him. So when they got there in the room, the girl says that she described everybody, right, that had been there. And it got her information, and they realized that she was underage. They took her to the hospital, okay? And then when the parents found out about her relationship and my friends, right, they did not even care about the people that had raped her prior to his arrival to the premises. All the blame fell upon him. He went to jail for 15 years. 15 years, ladies and gentlemen. After he served his 15 years, they send him right back to the Congo. As you and I having this conversation here, the dude is in the Democratic Republic of Congo right now. Is not allowed entry back into the United States or Canada or any of these countries, right? So that's just one example that I use to let you know that whatever you're doing here. Sorry guys, I didn't finish my idea. My camera died on me, so the battery was already, running low before I even realized it, and then it died. But anyway, so I was trying to make this point to let some of you know that you have a home that is your true home, all right? Whether you commit a felony, not that I am here to tell anyone to go commit a crime, but I use that example to tell you that living here in the West is not 100% guarantee. Having a citizenship, it is a privilege, it's not a right. They can take it away from you at any time or any moment that they like, right? If they don't like something you do, they might just come up with an excuse and justify the reason why they took the citizenship away from you, all right? So you don't want to end up in that boat. So now, I do not know what my friend's situation is right now because I lost contact with him. I'm the type of guy that's not really on Facebook or maybe Instagram, but I barely use it. I'm really not on this social media platform, so I really find other ways to communicate with people. So if I have friends that I still talk to, it's because they have my direct phone number or I have their direct phone number. Sometimes we chat with them through WhatsApp and other means of communication that are available out there, okay? So he's now in Kinshasa. I'm not going to jump into conclusions, but I guarantee you he did not have plan B. Maybe his plan B was to go back and reconnect with his family, but the kind of plan B that I'm talking about here is the type that you've lived here, you've had your saving, and then something, when you're ready to move back home, you go back to doing a business or, doing something more productive so you don't end up feeling the need to go back to the West and get a job or just afford the lifestyle that you already live, okay? So in my friend's example, he wasn't expecting such a thing to happen. It was just, this whole happened because it was at a wrong location at a wrong time, and all of this happened. So now it's being deported. It's been almost 3 years now since he's back in the Congo. I don't even know what he's doing for a living, but you can only imagine coming from the West and getting deported back to the Congo without a plan B. You can almost imagine what could happen. Because if you've lived in the West for a certain period of time, you will have certain expectations moving back to Africa. It's not necessarily the case with anyone, but at least the kind of condition you live in. You will try to create the same environment when you're moving back to the Congo, right? Or you're moving back to Africa, generally speaking. But if you did not prepare yourself to accommodate, things that would fit your lifestyle better, you will hate it. God knows what type of other things that might be going through your mind. You may have some serious mental illness and and so forth. All right. But I always tell people to always think about plan B. Whatever you're doing here in the West, always think about the worst case scenario. If this happens, and what's next? If that happened, then what's next? You know what I mean? So it is time for us to start thinking more in depth of what we need to do to make our home better. Our home, it is Africa. It is a country that you and I grew up in, where we're born, where we feel much at home when we go there. Watch YouTube videos. Look how many times when people get a chance to visit their home for the first time in a long time, right? And how excited that they are. People share the stories all the time on YouTube. You can just tell by the joy that's coming from their face, by the smile, because they know they're never gonna get that type of feeling when they go back to the West. You know what I mean? And I feel the same way too. Every single time I get on an airplane, knowing that I'm on my way to Africa, I always have an enormous joy that I barely feel when I stay here in the West. That's why I always tell people, if you're planning on moving to the West with the intent that, oh, my life is going to be better, I'm going to be happier, you are moving here for the wrong reason. I promise you, you're moving here for the wrong reason. If you're coming here because you feel like, all right, I need to make quick money because I got, projects that I would like to, do in Africa, then yes, you have my support. But if you're coming here to make your life better and be, happier, I promise you, you're coming here for the very wrong reason, because you will only find out when you come here to America. But I'm not going to get into the details. Maybe I will come up with another video where I can discuss all of that. And I promise you, a lot of people watching this video, they can relate to the things that I'm telling you here. Please have plan B. Africa is calling all of us. Africa is our only last resort. It is our only plan B, because not only we have the privilege of going there, having advantage of advantage over a lot of foreigners, or other people, other citizens of that are out, we have an advantage over a lot of citizens that's not from Congo, because number one, maybe you have a family, you have a home, or you inherited a home there. You don't even have to pay rent. That is an advantage right there. Or if you have a brother or a family member where you can spend time with them without even having to worry about the rent. Those are the advantages that we have. It gives you more time to focus on the things that you're working on, so that you can build your financial empire more steadily and peacefully. A lot of things that we are not able to accomplish here, especially in the West, because the cost of living is so high. Your rent alone is just taking away probably 25 to 30% of your income. And on top of that, you got other bills as well. By the time you pay all your bills, you're probably left with maybe 30 or 25% of your paycheck, and it's barely enough to do anything with it. But think of it this way: if you have saved a certain amount of money and you go back home, you're about to start your investment where you don't even have to worry about spending money on the rent, or you having to spending money on any utility bills. That money will 100% be used to build your business. And once everything is over with, you can just go ahead and start making money right away. Something that's very, very difficult to do here in the West. So those are the things that I want you to keep in mind. Brothers and sisters, this is 2023, and my message on my channel in this year, it will be to continue to encourage more African youth in the diaspora to go back to Africa and start businesses, to go back to Africa and having plan B and do more amazing things, because we are running away from opportunities in Africa and coming here to enslave ourselves. We are voluntarily coming here to enter the workforce so that we can be used as human beings. Look at it. You see, because of the slavery, right? They wanted, labor, they wanted to mass produce things, and they see to make more profits, they need to use other human beings. They did that, and they were successful in doing so. Now that the slavery went away, it's not legal anymore. Now they have to depend on what the law says. But check this out. Now they have to switch it in one way or another, pay you less money and work you to the core. By the time you get off work, you go home, you're tired. You don't even have the strength to go do anything else. And you come back the next day, but you're just collecting enough paycheck that will pay for your groceries and things like that. And then go back to work again and again. And as if that wasn't even enough, they're even considering to start building robots. Actually, the robots are already out there. They're working on intelligence, or so building robots that are capable of producing like 5 or 10 times more than what human being can. Why? Because they feel like human beings are slowing their production down now. So our place is not here anymore because we've been replaced by robots. But when you go back to Africa, you don't get to use your people like that. You don't really get to exploit your, human beings like that. You get to do business more fairly and just live a happy life. I mean, life is not always about making money. It's not always about money. Not everybody that has money have freedom. I mean, that came out wrong. Actually, the true freedom is having a lot of money. But not everybody that has money that are happy. They go through a lot of problems, especially if you have money here in America, paying taxes, making sure you pay for, health insurance so that your employee will continue to have health insurance. So, but in Africa, you don't really have to worry about any of that. Everybody got a job to do. All you got to focus on making sure that your business gets built and you start making money and live a happy and peaceful life. All right? So let's make 2023 a revolutionary year for our youth from the diaspora going back to Africa to start businesses. It's your man Merval. Thanks again for tuning in. Until the next video, I'll see you all later. Peace.